Hi, welcome back to the workshop where I'm building a custom Firebird style guitar. And in this episode, I'm going to be fitting the fretboard to the guitar, and I'm also going to be tackling that tricky scarf joint on the through neck Firebird companion build ukulele that I'm doing. So stay tuned to see how that goes. Okay, so having fitted the pickups and everything last week, we're at a stage where we can now get this fretboard glued on. Still looking lovely and glossy. But before I get into that, I've got a little bit of a dilemma that I want to discuss with you, because having spent a little bit less than I thought I was going to on the pickups, and having actually saved quite a fair chunk of money by not putting the banjo tuners on, I've got a little bit of spare money in the budget. And this has caused me to think a little bit. Now, I quite like the look of a Firebird with the stop tailpiece on, but I also quite like the look of the one with the vibrola on. And that's got me thinking a little bit. Now, I'm not a massive user of a tremolo, but I just think the vibrola looks quite nice on a Firebird. So I'm in two minds what to do. So let me know in the comments what you think you would do in this situation, and I'll have a think about it over the next couple of days before we get near the stage of fitting that stuff. But yeah, interesting to know what people think. But anyway, we can put that to one side and concentrate now on getting the fretboard glued up. And this is going to be quite a straightforward job. Now, we've already established some location holes both in the neck and through the fretboard. So positioning this will be very, very straightforward. We simply stick those two little pins in position, and then we can get this glued up. But of course, before we get any glue onto this, we need to install the truss rod, which is fairly straightforward. Just slip that into place. And then just to keep the glue out, just going to stick a little strip of masking tape over there. Okay, we can just get some good old-fashioned tight bond on the job now. Okay, so that's all clamped up and cleaned off now. So set this aside for a couple of hours and find something else to do, which means it's time to do a little bit of work on that uke that we're supposed to be making as well. And the first thing I'm going to do is tackle what I think is going to be the hardest job on this, and that is to cut the scarf joint onto this big offcut of timber that we had left from the main body. Now, I've never done one of these before. This isn't going to be an easy cut, and because of the way that this tapers and isn't square as it normally would be when we're doing a scarf joint, there's a load of complications that I really wasn't expecting to have, but we're going to give it a bash. And to do it, I've just put this little jig together. Now, ordinarily, this block would kind of follow this line here, which is the 10 degrees I want to cut. But because I've got a tapering neck blank, I've had to align it with that line and then put this block on at the back to hold it in the right position. It is quite important that I get it correct, because if I don't, my nut line's going to be in the wrong place, and that might not leave me enough material to kind of get the body in. Right, so I'm going to do a little bit more marking out, and then we'll get this to the bandsaw and we'll see what we can do. Well, I'm not going to lie, that hasn't gone at all to plan. That was where I wanted the line to be, and it's there on this side and here on that side. It was really, really difficult to hold everything square and flat. There was so much weight involved. I don't think it's a disaster though. We've got plenty of material to play with. I've had a quick measure up and I reckon I can still get it out of this bit of timber, but I'm just going to have to kind of do a little bit of hand planing and get all this cleaned up properly. So out with a marking knife and some squares and a few pencils and what have you, and we'll get this marked up and sorted out. Okay, so I've done quite a bit of work with the hand plane and I've actually got something that fits quite nicely there. I've done a trial clamp and it all fits really, really well, so quite happy with that. But now what I need to do is make sure that I'm going to get all of these laminations in the neck blank lining up properly. And to do that, I'm going to use the same trick that we used on the fretboard. Is I'm going to clamp this in position, I'm going to drill some holes into the waist section of it, and then I'm just going to locate it with some cocktail sticks so that when I come to do the glue up, I know that I've got a good positive location and it's not going to slip and slide around once I start getting clamps onto it. So we'll get set up for that and then we'll break some glue out. Okay, so this has all had a good couple of hours now to dry up. Glue should be well cured. So we'll set about the mother of all declamping sessions and see how we've done. Well, this looks to have gone down very nicely, and all the laminates are still kind of very nicely lined up. So yeah, generally quite happy with that. I think I'm going to have to do a little bit of finessing with the plane just to get these edges kind of down. But apart from that, I think that's gone very, very well considering where we were a little while ago. So brilliant. So that's one down. And that looks to have gone on really, really nicely. So very happy with that. Starting to really come together and look like something now. And if you're wondering at all about the little pegs that I put to locate the fretboard onto the neck, and if they're going to detract in any way from the finished fretboard, I'll just show you what I do to kind of finish these off. And basically, I just run the slotting saw through them. And take that back down to depth. Now it's left kind of a tiny little mark there, but the fret will cover all of that, so you won't be able to see any of that whatsoever. But just to make sure, on darker boards like this one, I just put a little bit of Sharpie on, and as you can see, that pretty much disappears then. Okay, so I've got a little bit of cleaning up work to do, but we've made some absolutely great progress in this episode, so I'm going to leave this here. I'll be back again in a couple of days' time when we'll be knocking some frets into this fretboard, and we'll also be starting the rough shaping process on the ukulele body blank. So just make sure you've hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on that episode. Drop me a like if you've enjoyed this. Comment even if it's just to say hello, or if you've got any questions to ask, I will always answer all of them, and I'll look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye bye.